Niagara Falls just did what many thought was impossible. Witnesses claim the mighty waterfall suddenly reversed its flow. Was it simply a strange illusion, or the first warning of something dangerous beneath the river?
As we promised earlier in the broadcast, you may have seen the majesty of Niagara Falls, but you've never seen it quite like this.
For centuries, Niagara Falls has thundered without pause, an unstoppable torrent of water crashing between the United States and Canada. It is Earth's monument to power, permanence, and motion itself. But in April 2025, witnesses claim they saw something that should have been impossible. The mighty falls suddenly faltering, and even appearing to flow backward. Tourists gasped. Phones shot into the air. Social media erupted with shaky clips that seemed to show the Horseshoe Falls hesitating, its endless curtain of water shivering into strange eddies and whirlpools that spun in the wrong direction. For a few haunting minutes, the roar that had been constant for centuries sounded different, as if Niagara itself had caught its breath. Was it a trick of the light? A freak atmospheric illusion? Or was it something far more unsettling? A hidden geological shift beneath the riverbed? Or even a sign of engineering gone wrong? Officials rushed to calm the panic, issuing measured statements. Scientists scrambled to analyze the anomaly. But behind the reassurances, a more chilling question lingers. If Niagara Falls, the world's symbol of eternal motion, can reverse even for a moment, what does that mean for the future of this ancient wonder? The mystery has only deepened, and today we dive headfirst into the shocking possibility. Did Niagara Falls really reverse its flow, or are we witnessing the first sign of something even bigger stirring beneath its waters? Chapter 1. Shocking Niagara Falls Shutdown. Could it really happen? Could Niagara Falls actually pause, reverse, or even stop? As shocking as the 2025 rumours sounded, this wasn't the first time the impossible seemed real. In March 1848, after days of brutal winds, massive sheets of ice jammed the mouth of the Niagara River. What followed was so bizarre that locals thought the end of the world was near. The river slowed to a trickle, and for 2 full days, Niagara Falls stopped completely. Imagine standing where water usually thundered and hearing nothing but silence. The exposed riverbed revealed ancient tree stumps, fossilized shells, and even remnants of long-lost tools, artifacts buried for centuries beneath the spray. Children reportedly wandered out onto the dry riverbed, collecting souvenirs from a place that should never have been walkable. The eerie hush unsettled everyone. Local churches rang their bells in alarm, as some believed divine judgment had descended. Others speculated that the Great Lakes themselves might be draining, collapsing into hidden chasms beneath the earth. Newspapers of the time reported widespread panic, describing the silence of the falls as unnatural and more terrifying than the roar of its waters. When the ice jam finally gave way and the torrent returned, the sense of relief was overwhelming. But the episode left an indelible mark. For the first time, people realized Niagara was not eternal. It was vulnerable. If ice could silence it once, what else might silence it again? Could climate change one day trigger a repeat of that chilling event, with shifting weather patterns and colder winters forcing the river into unnatural pauses? Or might human engineering, hydroelectric dams, diversions, or miscalculations halt Niagara in a way even more dramatic than nature ever could? The 1848 event proves one chilling truth. Niagara's power is vast, but not invincible. And if a frozen river once managed to stop the unstoppable, how secure can we really feel standing before its mist today? Chapter 2. Niagara Falls Water Diversion. What unfolded over Niagara in April 2025 didn't originate in geological mystery, but in the astonishing reality of human intervention. We often imagine Niagara as untouchable, beyond our reach. But is it really? What if the world's most powerful waterfall isn't just shaped by nature, but also by us? Every spring, engineers and caretakers perform one of the fall's strangest and most hidden rituals: the temporary redirection of the Niagara River. Few tourists ever realize it, but this maintenance pause has been happening for decades. Authorities in both Canada and the US carefully open valves, shift gates, and funnel water into hydroelectric stations or bypass channels. For a few uncanny hours, the thunder of Niagara weakens to a whisper, its mighty veil shrinking to little more than a misty sheet. On that April morning in 2025, the unfamiliar silence unsettled thousands of visitors. Without the usual force of millions of gallons pouring every minute, strange illusions took shape. Spray swirled backwards in sudden gusts. Ghostly whirlpools spun in reverse. Rocks usually hidden beneath the torrent glistened in sunlight. Some tourists swore the river itself was crawling uphill. Videos went viral, fueling theories of an impossible reversal. But the truth? This was engineering colliding with nature. Reduced flow exposed hidden dynamics: eddies, silt shifts, and strong winds funneling through the gorge. Together, they mimicked the impossible: water running against gravity. Yet the bigger question is this: if humanity can silence Niagara, even for a few hours, what else might we one day control or accidentally destroy? Could future diversions for power or safety grow longer, turning the pause into something permanent? Could overuse of hydroelectric diversion slowly starve the falls into irrelevance? For centuries, Niagara has seemed eternal, but episodes like April 2025 reveal a darker truth. Its thunder now relies on the choices of people, not just the power of nature. And that realization is far more unsettling than any illusion of reversal. Chapter 3. Niagara Falls stopped. 1969. Imagine it, the roar of Niagara Falls silenced, its mighty curtain of water gone, its bare rock walls exposed to the summer sun. What would you think if you stood before the world's most famous waterfall and saw nothing? It actually happened. In the summer of 1969, the unimaginable became reality. Not because of ice jams, not because of a freak geological shift, but because humans decided to turn Niagara off. Engineers from the US Army Corps of Engineers built an enormous cofferdam upstream of the American Falls, diverting the water away completely. For 5 long months, the cascade that had thundered for thousands of years was reduced to silence. Where there had once been chaos and spray, there was now dust, crumbling rock, and eerie stillness. Tourists flocked to see the dry falls, many describing it as more disturbing than awe-inspiring. Geologists rappelled into the exposed gorge, exploring fractures and unstable boulders hidden for centuries behind the veil of water. The findings were alarming, evidence of constant erosion that, left unchecked, might one day turn the American Falls into nothing more than a shallow rapid. Some urged drastic reinforcement, steel bolts, concrete slabs, or new diversions, but others warned against meddling with nature's own rhythm. In the end, engineers chose restraint, letting the falls continue their natural process of collapse and renewal. But what if they had decided differently? What if the dam had never been removed? Would Niagara today be a skeleton of its former self, a monument to human arrogance? Or could the pause in 1969 have been the blueprint for future experiments? Moments when governments might once again shut off nature's most powerful spectacles. When water finally returned that November, crashing back over the cliffs, relief swept across the region. Yet something had changed. People now knew for certain Niagara could be silenced, not just by ice or accident, but by human will.
The 1969 shutdown is more than a historical curiosity. It's a reminder of the fragile balance between nature and control. Niagara may seem eternal, but in truth, its fate has already been rewritten once, and could be again.
Chapter 4. Niagara Falls Flow Reversal. So what really happened on that April afternoon in 2025? Did Niagara Falls, the unstoppable torrent, actually reverse its flow? Or were millions of eyes deceived by something far more subtle? The truth begins with the science of water itself. Moving water seems simple, but under changing conditions it becomes deceptive, even mysterious. During scheduled maintenance, engineers intentionally minimize the flow over the Horseshoe Falls, channeling much of the river through power stations and bypass tunnels. Instead of millions of gallons crashing every second, only a fraction trickles over the crest. Suddenly, the force of Niagara is not overwhelming, but fragile, sensitive to every gust of wind, every shift in the atmosphere. That's when illusions take over. With the torrent weakened, eddies and countercurrents emerge, swirling visibly for the first time. A sudden gust blowing through the gorge can push mist and spray back on itself, giving the appearance of water flowing upstream. Floating debris may spin in tight circles or drift briefly against the current. From the right angle, it looks like the impossible: water running uphill. But here's the haunting part. These aren't new tricks. They've been observed at other waterfalls during low flow, from Iceland's Dettifoss to Africa's Victoria Falls. Still, seeing it at Niagara, the world's most powerful waterfall, ignites panic. If Niagara can appear to reverse, what does that say about its permanence? Could one day the illusion become reality? Could hidden seismic forces or collapsing bedrock truly alter its course in an instant? Scientists reassure us that these reversals are nothing more than turbulence amplified by reduced water volume. Yet the question lingers: if something so eternal-looking can appear to betray its own laws of motion, what other natural giants hide vulnerabilities we've yet to witness? In the end, Niagara did not reverse, but for a few unforgettable minutes, the illusion was so convincing that it shook the faith of millions in what they thought was unchangeable. And isn't that just as unsettling? Chapter 5. Niagara Falls under surveillance. In the past, Niagara's mysteries were left to rumor and speculation. When the river froze in 1848, or when engineers shut down the American Falls in 1969, the world had no way of knowing what might come next. Today, however, Niagara is under relentless watch. But here's the unsettling truth. If we are watching Niagara this closely, is it because we fear what we might find? Every hour, day and night, Niagara Falls is monitored by an invisible army of instruments. Seismic sensors buried in the ground listen for faint vibrations that might signal rock instability. Satellite systems capture subtle ground uplift or erosion shifts that would otherwise go unnoticed. High-definition cameras, mounted at multiple vantage points, record every ripple in the water's flow and every fracture in the cliff face. Even drones occasionally scan the gorge, mapping details that once remained hidden from human eyes. And yet, despite all this technology, questions linger. What if the instruments miss something? What if a sudden shift occurs in the dead of night, faster than data can be processed? Could Niagara one day surprise us, just as it did in 1848, with an unpredicted silence? During seasonal diversions, inspectors descend to the riverbed itself. They examine freshly exposed rock, searching for cracks that might one day expand into catastrophic collapses. Every discoloration of the water, every unexpected whirlpool, even every unusual sound is catalogued and studied. Rumors of red-tinged water, or whispers of reversal, like in April 2025, are swiftly countered with data-driven reassurance. The falls are safe, unchanged, eternal. But is eternal really the right word? The truth is that modern vigilance is as much about psychology as geology. Viral videos travel faster than facts. A clip of mist swirling backwards sparks worldwide panic before scientists can issue their reports. What happens when perception outpaces reality? when fear spreads faster than the water itself. Science can measure the cracks, the currents, and the flow, but it cannot yet measure the awe and the anxiety that Niagara inspires, and that might be the most unpredictable force of all.
Chapter 6. Niagara Falls Local Impacts.
Even with the best science and most precise engineering, nothing can erase the awe or the unease that stirs when Niagara Falls hesitates. But what happens to the people who live in its shadow when the roar falls silent? Niagara is not just a wonder, it is a lifeline. Every year, millions of visitors pour into the border towns, fueling hotels, restaurants, tour companies, and entire communities built around the promise that the falls will always thunder on. When diversions occur, when barriers go up, or when rumors spread of reversal, the impact is immediate. The air grows tense, the crowds thin, and business owners quietly wonder, what if the tourists don't come back? Local leaders like Niagara Falls Mayor Jim Diodati often step into the spotlight during these moments, offering reassurances that the falls remain strong and safe. But how much reassurance is enough in an age where a 15-second viral video can outpace official statements? One clip of mist swirling backward can trigger headlines across the globe before scientists can even confirm what happened. For residents, the tension goes deeper than economics. There is an emotional bond between the community and the river. For indigenous peoples, the falls are not just a tourist attraction. They are a sacred place, a living spirit woven into oral traditions. When the roar falters, it doesn't just shake wallets. It stirs memories, legends, and anxieties passed down for generations. Could the ancient spirit of the river be speaking? Could this be a warning from forces beyond our control? Even when the cause is simple, a scheduled diversion, a seasonal adjustment, the silence feels unsettling. People are reminded that Niagara is not invincible, that the landscape itself is fragile. And if Niagara can falter, what does that say about the permanence of the world we build around it? Episodes like those of 1848 and 1969 linger in public memory, resurfacing every time the water hesitates. For those who live closest, every pause is more than an anomaly. It's a reminder of just how much their lives are bound to the rhythm of a river that has the power to change without warning.
Chapter 7. Niagara Falls Local Impacts.
Even with the best science and most precise engineering, nothing can erase the awe or the unease that stirs when Niagara Falls hesitates. But what happens to the people who live in its shadow when the roar falls silent? Niagara is not just a wonder, it is a lifeline. Every year, millions of visitors pour into the border towns. When diversions occur, when barriers go up, or when rumors spread of reversal, the impact is immediate. The air grows tense, the crowds thin, and business owners quietly wonder, what if the tourists don't come back? Local leaders like Niagara Falls Mayor Jim Diodati often step into the spotlight during these moments, offering reassurances that the falls remain strong and safe. But how much reassurance is enough in an age where a 15-second viral video can outpace official statements? One clip of mist swirling backward can trigger headlines across the globe before scientists can even confirm what happened. For residents, the tension goes deeper than economics. There is an emotional bond between the community and the river. For indigenous peoples, the falls are not just a tourist attraction. They are a sacred place, a living spirit woven into oral traditions. When the roar falters, it doesn't just shake wallets. It stirs memories, legends, and anxieties passed down for generations. Could the ancient spirit of the river be speaking? Could this be a warning from forces beyond our control? Even when the cause is simple, a scheduled diversion, a seasonal adjustment, the silence feels unsettling. People are reminded that Niagara is not invincible, that the landscape itself is fragile. And if Niagara can falter, what does that say about the permanence of the world we build around it? Episodes like those of 1848 and 1969 linger in public memory, resurfacing every time the water hesitates. For those who live closest, every pause is more than an anomaly. It's a reminder of just how much their lives are bound to the rhythm of a river that has the power to change without warning. Chapter 8. Niagara Falls, Future Threats. Every time Niagara Falls falters, even for a few minutes, the world holds its breath. But what if these pauses aren't just fleeting curiosities? What if they are glimpses of the future? When the roar stops or weakens, a hush spreads far beyond the gorge itself. Visitors on the decks whisper uneasily. Locals check the news, and social media erupts with speculation. Each anomaly, whether caused by ice in 1848, human intervention in 1969, or the viral 2025 reversal, forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. Is Niagara truly eternal, or are we witnessing the slow unraveling of a wonder we thought untouchable? The truth is, every restoration is also a transformation. When water returns after a pause, the falls are not quite the same. The rock face has shifted, the current has carved a new path, ancient layers of stone have been revealed or buried again. Niagara is not a frozen monument, it is a living system, rewriting itself with every surge of water. So if each pause leaves a mark, what will centuries of pauses and shifts leave behind? Will Niagara still exist in the same form 500 years from now? Or will erosion, climate change, or human meddling reshape it beyond recognition? Scientists who monitor the falls know this better than anyone. They chart fractures, track erosion rates, and predict changes. Yet even with all the data, there is humility in their work. Nature may give us clues, but it rarely gives guarantees. Niagara reminds us of the limits of control. We can slow erosion, divert flow, even silence the torrent temporarily, but we cannot stop the clock of time itself. Each pause is a lesson in vigilance, in humility, and in wonder. A reminder that nothing in nature is permanent, not even the mighty Niagara. And if this titan can falter, what else that we believe unshakable might one day slip away? Chapter 9. Niagara Falls, Lessons Learned. Niagara Falls has always stood as a symbol of permanence, yet its story is one of constant change. The viral reversal of April 2025 was not a supernatural event, not a prophecy of doom, but it revealed something just as important: how fragile even the mightiest forces of nature truly are. What do these pauses and illusions teach us? First, that our control over Niagara is only temporary. With gates and channels we can reduce the flow. With engineering, we can divert its course. With science, we can measure its every tremor. And yet, the river remains greater than our efforts. Each pause shows us the thin line between stability and chaos, order and unpredictability. History has proven this before. Ice silenced Niagara in 1848. Engineers silenced it again in 1969. And in 2025, swirling mist convinced millions that the impossible had happened. These episodes may not have destroyed the falls, but they left their mark on the land, on the people who witnessed them, and on our collective memory. So what will future pauses reveal? Could climate change trigger longer silences as shifting weather patterns alter the Great Lakes? Could unchecked erosion carve a new path for the river, changing Niagara forever? There is also a lesson in humility. For every moment that Niagara hesitates, humans are reminded that we are not the masters of nature, but its students. We interpret, we intervene, we monitor, but we do not command. The falls continue their eternal work, sculpting stone, carving valleys, reshaping the world drop by drop. And there is a lesson in wonder. Standing before Niagara, seeing mist arch into rainbows, and hearing the ground vibrate under the roar, you realize that every surge and every pause is part of a living story. Each hesitation is not just a disruption, it is a verse in the epic of water, time, and transformation. So the next time Niagara falters, will you see disaster or discovery, fear or fascination, a warning or a reminder that nothing in this world is ever truly unchanging?